Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, it is so great to have you. I'm Antoinette, a New Zealander living in Germany. So in this video today, I thought I would react to an article about Germany that I found online. The article is actually titled 10 Things Only Those Who Lived in Germany Understand. This article was actually written in 2020 by a lady called Isabel, and it doesn't give any more information about her, so I'm presuming she has previously lived in Germany. I thought it would be really fun just to kind of go through the points she's made and see if I agree with what she has to say or disagree. I've lived in Germany for many years now, so I'm sure I've got a lot to say on each of these points that she's mentioned. Okay, so let's get into it. I am going to be looking down once in a while, so please bear with me. But the first point she has made is football is a religion. So I was a little bit confused by this one because when I first read football, I automatically thought of American football, and that kind of has nothing to do with Germany. I know there are some American football teams that play in Germany, but it's definitely not a religion. But then I suddenly clicked what she meant. She was talking about Fußball, which is a very, very popular sport here in Germany. In New Zealand, we actually call it soccer, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. But yeah, Fußball is extremely popular here in Germany. I don't know if I would go as far as saying it's a religion, but many Germans absolutely love this sport. It's a very, very big celebration whenever the German team is playing against another country. Germans get very, very much into the sport. I actually remember when my little boy Matteo was born, a family who lived in our village, we didn't actually even know them at the time, but they found out that we called our son Matteo. They also had a son called Matteo. The mum of the little boy Matteo actually gifted us this t-shirt with Matteo on the back, and it's like the German soccer team, Fußball team sweater or, you know, shirt that they wear. And I thought that was really, really cute. So this was obviously their son's when he was little, and he no longer fits it, so he gave it to us for our Matteo, and I thought that was really, really cool. Okay, so the next point is German bread is amazing, and amazing is written in capital letters. So I actually am not the right person to comment on this because I have celiac, which is an autoimmune reaction to gluten. So I have never tried German bread, which is so sad because I know that I am missing out. Basically everybody I know who has tried German bread absolutely rave about it. I remember when I met my husband in New Zealand when we first started dating, one thing that he missed about Germany, like the thing he missed the most about Germany was the German bread, and he actually really struggled to eat the New Zealand bread. He absolutely loved New Zealand, but he just was not a fan of the New Zealand bread, and he would just crave German bread, and he used to talk about it all the time and just say like the German bread, it's really dense, and it's he used to describe it as juicy, the bread, and I just was like, what is he talking about? It's juicy. But I kind of know what he means now. It has, many of the German breads they have almost like a moist kind of dense texture to them. So Rob actually ended up finding a Dutch bakery who made German bread as well as Dutch bread, and he said it was not quite as good as the bread that he was used to in Germany, but it was a lot better than the New Zealand bread. So he would spend quite a bit of money on a loaf of bread. I think it was like 10 New Zealand dollars or something crazy for one loaf of bread, but he just wanted it so badly and he missed the German bread so much that he would spend that much on a loaf of bread. So anyway, apparently the German bread is fantastic. So guys, I do apologize. My little Luca has woken up from his nap halfway through the video, as he tends to do, so he is going to join me. I hope you don't mind. He may play a little bit, but he will be in and out of the video. Okay, so the next point that I have here is 4 p.m. means 3:55 p.m, not 4ish, and I definitely agree with this because in Germany it is very much unacceptable to be late, and it's always a good idea to turn up like 5 minutes early rather than 5 minutes late. Like 4ish in New Zealand would mean, you know, it's okay to turn up 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, but in Germany it's definitely rude to turn up late. So I would agree with this. I think 5 minutes late, it might be okay. Anything more than 5 minutes, I think that would be pretty rude in Germany. So Germans are known to be very punctual and just always on time. Obviously not all Germans, but the majority of Germans are very, very punctual, very trustworthy, and what they say is what they mean. And so, yes, definitely agree with that point. Okay, so the next point is Germany's idea of hashtag Sunday Fun Day. So I guess she goes on to talk about the fact that in Germany, most shops and services and almost everything, apart from restaurants and the odd cafe, are closed on Sunday. Sunday in Germany is a day to spend with family, to relax, and it is not a day to be shopping and working. I don't want to go into this point too much because I feel like I'm a broken record. I always talk about Sunday in Germany and the fact that most things are closed, and for me at first it was quite a culture shock, and I didn't like the fact that I couldn't go supermarket shopping on a Sunday. Right now I'm so used to it, and I love Sunday because it's just a family day and I love spending time with my family. The next point, it's another point about Sunday actually. Sunday afternoon is reserved for coffee and cake. And yes, absolutely, Kaffee and Kuchen is such a big part of German culture, and I love this part of German culture. On Sunday, we will often go to my in-laws' place. First, we'll have lunch actually at my in-laws quite often. And then in the afternoon, we will have cake and coffee and just relax and chat and take our time. And sometimes we will even go to a cafe and we will order coffee and cake, and it's just a lovely, lovely part of German culture. I really, really enjoy it. And German cake, oh my goodness, it is absolutely delicious. And yes, I do have celiac and I can't eat gluten, but I have tried some gluten-free alternatives to the German cakes, and they are divine. There are many, many different types of German cake, but some of the more popular types of cake in the area of Germany where I live are the apple cake. There's also this really yummy cake with a gelatine on top with strawberries inside, and it's kind of like a spongy cake, so it's very, very light. And I feel like the German cakes are quite different to the German breads, because a lot of the German breads are very, very dense and heavy in comparison to the breads that we have in New Zealand, but the German cakes are very, very light and fluffy and almost like what we would call a sponge cake. So very like melt in your mouth, just absolutely delicious. And even the gluten-free versions are amazing, oh my goodness. And German cheesecake is really, really good too. It's very different to the cheesecake we have in New Zealand, but it's really yummy, and I can actually eat the top of the cheesecake. I can't eat the bottom part, unfortunately. I'm sure it's really, really good, but the cheese topping is really, really yummy. So yeah, German coffee is also pretty good, but I'm maybe a bit biased when it comes to New Zealand coffee, because I feel like in New Zealand we have incredible coffee. German coffee is also pretty good, but I have to say I just love the tradition of cake and coffee in Germany in the afternoon, particularly on a Sunday. Okay, so the next point, how are you, is a serious question. Wie geht's dir? Yes, absolutely. I learned this the hard way, because when I first moved to Germany and I first started learning the German language, I would go around saying wie geht es dir to everybody, because in English, or particularly in New Zealand, we always will ask people how they are, and it's not a question to be asked like literally, like how are you? We're not expecting to know exactly how that person is. In New Zealand, when we ask somebody how they are, we usually expect for them to say, oh good thanks, how are you? And it's just a passing comment. But in Germany, they take this very, very literally. So if you ask them how they are, you need to have quite a bit of time on your hands, because they are going to be telling you exactly how they feel. They will tell you about their backache, or you know, they didn't sleep so well, or they will get into a full-on conversation about how they are feeling, how they are doing, regardless of whether they are doing well or not. And I was super confused by this when I first came to Germany. I very quickly caught on to the fact that how are you to Germans is not just considered a passing kind of question. It is a very serious question, and it's something you don't throw around. Okay, so question number 7. Germans actually do have a sense of humor. And yeah, there's a common stereotype, a German stereotype, that Germans do not have a sense of humor, and I definitely disagree with this. I think Germans absolutely have a sense of humor. Maybe their style of humor is a little bit different to our style of humor in New Zealand. Maybe some of the jokes and things are lost in translation when you're telling a joke to a German. And that might be why Germans appear to not have a sense of humor. I've actually made a video talking about this topic before, reacting to this point about Germans not having a sense of humor, and yeah, I totally disagree. A lot of Germans are super funny, and I actually love German humor, but you kind of have to understand the German language to get German humor. So I don't know, Germans can maybe appear to be a little bit more serious. They're not inclined to laugh at a joke if it's not funny. You know, in New Zealand we'll laugh at a joke even if it's not funny, just so we don't offend the person, but a German wouldn't laugh if they didn't find it funny. So maybe that's where it's coming from, that Germans don't have a sense of humor. Next point, number 8, everyone in the sauna is naked. And this one I can't really comment on because I've never been to a sauna in Germany. But this is definitely true. I've talked to many expat friends about the subject, and they've told me that if you go to a German sauna, be prepared, everybody's going to be naked, you need to be naked too, and I'm yet to experience this, but I wouldn't mind experiencing this. I like that Germany is very open when it comes to nudity, and many Germans feel very comfortable with their bodies. I think it's a great thing, a great aspect of German culture. I have noticed that if you go to a public swimming pool, that in the changing rooms, instead of hiding behind towels to get unchanged like many people do in New Zealand, people in Germany are just strutting around completely naked. And I remember being kind of shocked by this. Not in a bad way, just in a, wow, okay, well, I guess we're all females here, it doesn't matter. Why not? Okay, so point number 9, people stare at you all the time, and I have to agree. I definitely agree with this because when I first came to Germany, I was very taken back by the amount of people that would stare at me, and it was usually just sort of strangers staring with a blank look on their face. Sort of, didn't know whether it was out of curiosity or whether they approved of what I was doing or didn't approve of what I was doing. I felt a little bit paranoid when I first came to Germany because I didn't know why people were just staring at me in public, and I constantly felt like I was doing something wrong. And I do find that Germans stare a lot. It is something I have gotten used to over the years, but it still happens, and I think Germans are just curious. A lot of Germans just are curious when they see something a little bit out of the ordinary in their country. Maybe they noticed that I was speaking English, or I don't know, they thought that I looked different, or I don't know, but it's never usually like a disapproving stare. It's almost like a blank stare where you don't really know what they're thinking. Last but not least, number 10, cash is king. And see, these are all points that I have talked about many times in my videos, so I feel as though I'm a broken record talking about this, but yes, absolutely, cash is king in Germany. Most Germans will carry cash around. They will pay for basically everything in cash. I do use a debit card in Germany when I am making bigger purchases. Just say I'm going to the supermarket and I'm paying for my weekly grocery shop, I will use my debit card. But I do see a lot of Germans paying for their huge big grocery shop using cash, and there are definitely theories behind why Germany is, well, some people say behind in this. I think a lot of Germans like to use cash because they know exactly what they are spending. If you are buying everything on a card, it's sort of like easy come, easy go. You can't really see what you're doing, and you're spending a lot more than you normally probably would if you were paying with cash, and you can actually see that money going out. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, why Germany has such a booming economy, because the average German does not waste money, and they don't spend money that they don't have. I'm sure many of them do, but many Germans are cautious with their money, and I think paying in cash is a way to really keep track of your spendings. So thankfully I have come to the end of this list because my little man wants my full attention. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!